In Dehradun, where the quiet morning air smells of pine and old schoolhouses, there are teachers whose names fade from the register, but whose steps linger in the soil. This is a story about two teachers, one habit, and a girl who took the better part of 2 decades to find her way back to it. Ms. Sahani was a 45-year-old English teacher at a modest school in Dehradun. Every morning she walked to work, and after her classes were over, she walked back home. Although she owned a vehicle, she rarely used it. She preferred walking. It cleared her head, soothed her nerves, and, in her own words, was cheaper than therapy and better than the gym. Her students adored her. Unlike many adults of her generation, she actually listened. Often, she would invite a student to walk with her after school. During those gentle strolls, the children would pour out their fears, confessions, and fragile dreams. She listened patiently. When they asked for advice, she never gave them a script. She simply helped them discover the answers themselves. It gave them a quiet, immovable confidence, transformative in its own quiet way. Of course, where there is light, there is shadow. That shadow was Mrs. Puri. Where Miss Sahani helped students discover what they were already good at, Mrs. Puri looked only for what was broken, convinced that fixing a weakness was the only thing that mattered. Mrs. Puri taught another subject, though no one was entirely sure what she actually knew. She acted like an expert in everything under the sun. Listening, however, was not her strength. Talking was. Whenever a student asked a difficult or logical question, she would snap, insult them, or resort to the cane. Yes, caning was still practiced then. Then, in early March, a new student named Mahek joined the school. She was easily the prettiest girl on campus, and naturally, people noticed. But Mahek wasn't just striking. She was exceptionally gifted at mathematics. The only thing she struggled with was stage fright, a fear so severe that the mere sight of a microphone could turn her into stone. She avoided any event that required standing on a stage. It didn't take long for Ms. Sahani to notice Mahek's strength and Mrs. Puri, her weakness. During one of their walks, Ms. Sahani encouraged Mahek to embrace her natural genius, math. Mrs. Puri, on the other hand, took it upon herself to fix what was broken. To her, an unfixed weakness was an emergency. And this one seemed tailored for her to solve, especially in a girl this striking, wasting a gift for attention by hiding from it. "You could be a famous actress one day," Mrs. Puri would declare dramatically, as if she were auditioning for a role herself. "You just need to get over this absurd fear of yours." Mahek was a teenager, confused, impressionable, and eager to please. She knew she was good-looking, and Mrs. Puri's constant pressure wore her down. Against her own instincts, she joined the drama club. Each time she stepped onto the stage, she froze. Each time she was laughed at, by students and teachers alike. The repeated humiliation didn't fix her weakness. It crushed her spirit, and that was when the darkness set in. Living in the hostel gave Mahek easy access to escape. Slowly, she drifted, first to the wrong crowd, then to substances. She began skipping classes. Her behavior turned rebellious. She swore constantly and pushed away anyone who tried to reach her, including Ms. Sahani. Within months, the bright girl with a gift for numbers transformed into someone the entire school avoided. The matter eventually reached the principal. Mahek's parents were summoned. The meeting was a disaster. Her parents blamed the school. The school blamed her parents. No one took responsibility. As expected, Mahek was withdrawn from the school. And after that, she simply vanished. No one ever blamed Mrs. Puri. In the retelling of such stories, no one usually does. She taught for a few more years, then retired quietly, still convinced that a child's weakness was the only thing worth fixing. Years passed. Somewhere in those lost years, in the middle of recovery, relapse, and rebuilding, something Ms. Sahani had once told Mahek on a quiet walk surfaced again. Embrace what you are good at. It was a small, fragile thought to hold on to, but Mahek held it anyway, one decision at a time. She stopped trying to fix what the world told her was broken and went back to the one thing that made her feel alive: numbers. 2 decades moved quietly across the hills of Dehradun. And then, one crisp morning, the school gate saw something it had never seen before. A sleek Mercedes-Maybach pulled up to the curb. The driver opened the door, and out stepped Mehek, now a poised, brilliant tech entrepreneur visiting India from Silicon Valley. She hadn't become an actress. She had built a multi-million-dollar technology empire on complex algorithms, on math. The current principal didn't recognize her. He hadn't been there in those dark days. When she asked about Ms. Sahani, he informed her that the old teacher had retired, but kindly wrote down her home address. Nervous, yet full of a quiet excitement, Mehek went to find her. A caretaker opened the door of a quiet bungalow and invited her in, but warned her gently, "Please don't expect too much, ma'am. She has severe Alzheimer's. She won't recognize you." Mehek walked into the sunlit courtyard. There, sitting in a reclining chair and warming herself in the morning sun, was an elderly Ms. Sahani. Mehek knelt beside her and greeted her softly. As expected, the old teacher's eyes were blank. She didn't know the name of the Silicon Valley CEO sitting beside her. She didn't remember the school. But as Mehek took her hand, the old woman's eyes sparkled with a sudden strange warmth, as if deep inside the fog of her mind, some small, forgotten part of her heart recognized that it had fulfilled its purpose. Their meeting was brief. Soon after, Mehek returned to the United States. Today, if you visit the Silicon Valley headquarters of Mehek's company, you will find a unique orientation program mandatory for every new hire. It is called The Walk. Every intern is assigned a mentor, not to grade them and not to fix their weaknesses, but to walk with them, listen to them, and help them find their true calling. And if you walk through their campus on any quiet afternoon, you will see them. Pairs of people walking, talking, discovering who they truly are, continuing the quiet legacy of a teacher in Dehradun who believed that the best answers in life are found on a quiet, thoughtful walk. If this story stayed with you and made you think of someone who once believed in you, please like, share, and subscribe. A new story arrives every Sunday. I'll see you then.